You know, go write 500 sentences. I will not do this again. You know, and that's what happens to them, but that doesn't really, that punishes them, but doesn't really address the issue of, like, how do I help him or her become better so that they don't, you know, fall into that path of going to prison? How do I help them get away from that environment where they're growing up in, where their parents are using drugs, or, you know, they're seeing violence or gang stuff, or, you know, they're seeing family members or people or friends in the neighborhood being shot and killed, or seeing all this stuff? How do I divert them from that to show them that there's something bigger than that little neighborhood that they grew up in? You know, how do you show them that? You know, and you know, in the whole prison system, that's what they do too. You know, they lock you up, and a lot of people just say, "Lock them up, throw away the key." You know, and a lot of people think that, you know, yep, they committed the crime, you lock them up, you know, and we don't have to deal with them no more for maybe what, about a year, 3 years, 8 or 9 years. They get out, you know, you're trying to find a job again, and no job, so maybe back to crime. You know, and you got to break that cycle. And I think education is a very important factor in that. Like teaching people to think critically about things and ensuring that they can make better decisions for themselves and their family. Just them having the knowledge of the process that it takes them to go to college. They can teach that to their kids. You know, they can teach that to other kids who are growing up. You know, here's how you apply to college. Here's what you need. Here's how you apply for financial aid. A lot of people don't even know that. You know? So, that's what I think is really a key factor in, you know, breaking this whole school to prison pipeline. So, that's kind of what I've been doing. And one thing I want to say is, if you guys ever get the chance, please, you know, volunteer, go into these prisons and volunteer sometimes with some kind of program and, you know, change these people's lives. You know, because like it or not, they're coming back out. You know, the majority of them are coming back out, and they might be your neighbor, they might be one of your family members. You know, like it or not, you know, the whole system is set up where just about everybody is going to come into contact with the law at some point in their lives. And whether it's, you know, it turns out good or bad, you know, people get sent to prison, but they're going to be coming back out and, you know, be a part of their lives and show them that, you know, there is a different path. You know, so that's all I got. So, I want to open it up to any questions. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, it's not a question. It's more like, because I had a criminal justice last semester, and I personally feel like one of the reasons that people go back to prison or feel like when you get out, you don't have the resources to, you know, help yourself or your family. And I feel like the prison system is really, I don't want to say weak, but I don't know, like, people are too relaxed when they go to prison. But I personally, in my opinion, I feel like it should be more tough. That way when you get out, you will have, you will find resources without you going back on the street to serve yourself, whatever you have to do to survive. I don't know what it's called, but something with social work, I forgot what it's called. But it's like when you're working with your clients, for whatever reason it is, if they're in trouble, they have to go out there and use all their resources before coming for help. And that's why I feel like if people are really, really determined and want to be serious, there are a lot of resources out there that people can go to for help instead of going back on the street to sell drugs and do other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. That is true, you know. And you want them to be responsible and take advantage of all these resources. But a lot of times, growing up, they have mom and dad or the principal or the teacher provide that structure for them, you know, and they can't function without that structure, you know. When do I go to sleep? When do I eat? When do I eat? You know. Why is, you know, eating a whole bunch of fatty food bad for me? They don't have the responsibility to manage their finances. You know, they don't know how to do that because they've been in a system for so long that they don't know how to be responsible. You know, and in there, if they have that realization, then they start taking advantage of that, and it's their responsibility to do it. Because if you force them to do it when they're in there, sure, it works, and they're going through the whole treatment program and they're participating in all these programs and stuff. But once they get out, the structure has been lifted off them. You know, and it all falls apart because they need that structure. And I know that personally because since I've been out, I've been leading a men's support group. And that's what I see a lot, you know. They come out, and, you know, they're doing pretty well in prison. No fights, no petty offenses of talking back to corrections officers, nothing violent, commit no crimes. They're doing great. You know, but that's because they got the structure. You know, people are teaching them stuff, I mean not teaching them, but putting limitations on them, like, oh yeah, this is the time when you wake up and go to breakfast. This is the time when you stay in your room. This is the time where we got the TV on for you to watch. You know, and they got the structure, so they function all right. But once they get out, the structure's been lifted off, and they don't know, they don't have the skills to be responsible to go out there and take advantage of those opportunities, even though those opportunities are out there. So part of it is teaching them that they are responsible for themselves, you know. As one of my mentors is telling me, you are the help that you're waiting for. You know, the only person who can make that decision is you. You know, you can't have somebody go in and force you to do all this and that. It's like that old saying, what, you can lead a horse to water, or you can make it drink. You know, and they gotta kind of be taught, like, all right, here's how you manage money. Here's how you kind of manage your time. You know. And a lot of times in there, they don't have that. And when you force it, it doesn't work, so there's a balance. There needs to be a balance right there. Because being in there, you get the option of, all right, yeah, you can buy your TV and sit in your room and watch TV all day. Or else you can take advantage of, different programs in there, like the Alternative Violence Project or the Power of People. So,
could you talk a little bit about how the students in this room who will go on to be teachers, counselors, how could they work with Hmong families and be culturally sensitive? And my question is even a little bit more complicated than that. There's been so much assimilation, and I'm not saying that as a good thing. There's been so much assimilation that some of the things that we give to students as tips about Hmong culture, I have Hmong students in my classes saying, I don't even know what you're talking about. That's what my grandparents did.
yeah.
That's not what I did. So can you kind of understand the question from that point of view, taking into account assimilation plus some tradition and culture? What can we do to be more sensitive?
Okay. Well, a little bit about my culture is, Hmong people is, they're led in the men have more power in the culture. So men are the ones who usually make the decisions. But nowadays, you know, being in American culture, it's kind of switching up. But traditionally, yeah, men have more power, and they want to be addressed first. You know, the dynamics are, you know, you kind of engage them first before you engage the child. You know, and there's always a language barrier. You know, some of them who don't speak English too well, so they want an interpreter there. And even if they speak broken English, and they can understand you, they still want an interpreter there because they want that security blanket, you know. I'm like, all right, you know, if I don't understand that word, this person's gonna translate for me. And it's really hard because if you are going into the Twin Cities, there's a huge Hmong population.